Hey guys, it's here from DifferenceInSkill bringing you guys a deck profile. This is not going to be on Cardfight Vanguard. It's not going to be on Wei Schwartz. It's not even going to be on ZX. It's going to be on Yu-Gi-Oh! That's right. So as you guys probably know by now, basically Chan and I have basically completely quit Vanguard. I wanted to continue making Beyond videos, but Cardfight Capital got shut down, so I'm not able to do that either. And I no longer have a deck. I no longer have, well, I have cards, a bunch of commons, leftovers, etc. But I basically have no plans on playing anytime in the near future. Like I mentioned before, in other videos, I hinted at I will start playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively. So that's why I basically quit Vanguard. Went in a bit of a hiatus. I didn't put out a lot of videos. That's because I've been trying to get this deck together. It took a lot longer than it should have, simply because a trade package that I was waiting for never came in. And but I ended up just doing what I should have done in the first place. I got my friend. He knows a store in Chinatown. He ended up going there. He ended up me getting the cards for pretty cheap. So yeah, thanks to him, I'm able to complete the deck. I'm finally able to put out a deck profile. It's going to be a pretty in-depth deck profile. And this is going to be for the new March 2013 ban list. In terms of cards that this deck ran that got hit, Solemn Warning got put to 1. So now I have 2 play sets of Solemn Warning. And I also got Sangan. Let me go get him. Sangan has been finally put to rest after how many years? Rest in peace, buddy. Sangan is now banned, so may he rest in peace. And so yeah, I made changes accordingly. Originally the deck was 41 cards for last format with warning at 2, etc. But now with warning at 1, all I did was just really take out the warning and cut down the deck to 40. If I feel like I still need back row, I still have the possibility of perhaps playing a Mirror Force or a compulsory evacuation device or something. But yeah, I'm just going to go through the deck and try to explain the deck for you that don't watch our channel for the Yu-Gi-Oh! And kind of want to know what the deck is about. The deck Dino Rabbit, it's been around for a while. The deck revolves around getting out Yvolzar Dolka and Yvolzar Lagia out to the field as soon as possible. So the deck is a bit of a passive control deck. Now, Lagia and Dolka's effects. Lagia's effect is whenever your opponent activates a spell or trap or tries to summon a monster, you can detach 2 Xyz material cards from this card and negate the activation or summon and destroy the card. And Dolka, similar thing, except effect monster effect activates. You can detach 1 from Dolka and negate the activation and destroy it. So for those of you that are not familiar with Xyz monsters, if there's enough of you out there, please comment in the comment section down below. Let's say like you played Yu-Gi-Oh for a bit, but aren't up to date with all the new stuff. I can make a video, kind of like an introduction to Yu-Gi-Oh video, and I would be able to do that for you guys. But I just want to see if the interest is high enough, and I'll be able to make one for you for that. But for now, it's just a deck profile. So Volzar Dolka, Volzar Lagia, the deck revolves around getting these 2 guys out as soon as possible out into the field, and that's basically your win condition. Now you just sit on these, you protect them, and force your opponent to play around them, waste their resources in order to get around them, and basically the deck wins by depleting your opponent's resources by forcing them to get rid of these 2 cards, and then just beating them down otherwise with these or other Xyz monsters or other monsters in the deck as well. So what's the main engine to get these 2 guys out as soon as possible? Let's start off with the deck profile. We have 2 Rescue Rabbit. Rescue Rabbit's such a great card. I mean, some people wanted it to go to 1 in the ban list, but it's still at 2. I think it's just a solid card. I mean, you're required to run normal monsters. It's a rank 4 Xyz engine, and it's just amazing. So you summon it, through its effect, you banish it, and then you can special summon 2 normal monsters, level 4 or lower, with the same name from your deck onto the field, and they're destroyed at the end phase. So you can attack with them, or in this case, what you will be summoning are either 2 of your 3 Kabuzals or 2 of your 3 Sabersaurus. So these are your level 4 dinosaur vanilla type monsters, normal types, that you will be special summoning with Rescue Rabbit. So Rescue Rabbit's going to bring these 2 guys out, 2 of these guys out, either 2 Sabersaurus or 2 Kabuzals, and you can attack with them, or you can overlay 2 for either Yvolzar Dolka or Yvolzar Lagia, simply because Dolka and Lagia require 2 level 4 dinosaur type monsters, and that's what these are. So you get this guy out. You open him with him. You're off to a great start. So 1 card, Dolka and Lagia. So you get these 2 guys out, and then you just overlay, and you're set to go. So that's the main engine of the deck, obviously Rescue Rabbit with the vanilla dinosaurs. And then in order to complement that engine, we have 2 Tour Guide, 1 Night Assailant, and like I said before, Sangan did get banned. Sangan was my 4th target. For now I'm running a Dark Resonator. I'll most likely be running a Dark Mimic level 3 or something. Dark Resonator is kind of a really mini Spirit Reaper. Once per turn, it's not destroyed by battle. So you have to run over it twice. So it stalls you out a bit if you really need it. It's also a tuner, just in case. I don't think I'll be running synchro monsters in my extra deck. Basically, it's just there as a second target for Tour Guide. Some people are saying that because of Sangan, Tour Guide for some reason somehow the engine becomes bad. I really don't see that at all whatsoever. I don't see how the engine is bad because because Sangan got banned. Sangan's ability, searching ability was obviously great. It added consistency to a lot of decks, but because Sangan was banned, now everybody loses that consistency. It's not like your deck for some reason is at a disadvantage. No, every deck is at a disadvantage because every deck lost Sangan. So by adding a Dark Resonator or adding a Dark Mimic level 3, Dark Mimic level 3, by the way, its effect is when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you draw a card. It'd be the same play if you drew into a Sangan, you would set it and you would wait for it to get destroyed so you could get your search off. Instead with Dark Mimic level 3, you would set it, you could send it to the graveyard, and then you just get to draw a card. Obviously not nearly as ideal, but it's not like your deck will suffer massively because of Sangan. If your deck really depended on that Sangan search, then you're playing the wrong deck. Basically, your deck is not going to be any good if it's solely dependent on a one-of card. There's no the engine still works. The engine is still fine. The engine is still great as ever. Just because you lost a bit of a consistency with Sangan, once again, doesn't mean that the engine is bad. And also, like I said, every single deck lost that consistency. So you're not the only one. So Night Assailant, once again, Night Assailant before was my first target. I think I'll just be getting, if I open with the Tour Guide, I'll get Dark Resonator first, and then I'll overlay. A lot of people mostly just got Sangan and overlaid with Sangan, so I don't see what people are complaining about it. Sangan never got its effect after overlaying for an Xyz monster. So, it's not the big deal. So, these Tour Guide engine allows you to get a Levier out. Levier, I'll go through him when I do my extra deck, but yeah, he's a great card. Rabbit banishes himself. Levier brings him back, and then you're able to do basically if your opponent has no responses, with 1 Tour Guide you're able to get a Levier and another Dolken Lagia out on the field. So that's a great play, obviously, and that's a big power play that this deck has. And next thing I run 3 Waibas, 3 Jirak Waiba. People have been arguing this card versus Thunder King. Now the thing about this card though is that it's not only is it a dinosaur type, but this card gets my win condition. The deck wants to get Lagi and Dolka out as soon as possible. These 2 cards are my win condition. If I don't get my win condition out fast enough, then I obviously lose. So what does Thunder King get me my win condition faster? No, it just stops my opponents from perhaps getting their win condition, and only temporarily, because nowadays it's not that hard to get over a Thunder King. But Jirak Waiba directly gets me to that win condition. Jirak Waiba, when it runs over something or kills something and destroys it by battle, you're allowed to search for another one from your deck. So you kill something, you get another Waiba from your deck, special summon it, main phase 2 you overlay, and you make a Dolka or a Lagia. It's great. Once again, if you run over something, it puts great pressure on your opponent, forces them to deep prison, warning it, bottomless it, whatever. And once again, that's a bottomless deep prison warning that won't be used on your Lagia and Dolka if you draw into a rabbit or something. So 3 Jirak Waiba are actually great for this deck. 1700 attack makes it viable and pretty good against most decks. The decks that it would have a bit of problem against would be HerOs, their 1900 beat sticks, etc., and the Shinings or Fusion monsters. And Chaos Dragons, once again, they have huge beat sticks that are hard to get over with. But for the most part, Jirak Waiba will be pretty good nearly against every deck. Thunder King, it could be argued that it's not great against every deck. It's better against some decks than others, but that's what the side deck is for. Once you play against those decks, you're able to side accordingly. Jirak Waiba is good against nearly all decks, and it gets my win condition faster. That's what I want to do in game 1. So that's why I run 3 Jirak Waiba, and I think that's why it's better than Thunder King in the main deck. Next we have 2 Spirit Reapers. Spirit Reapers are here simply to control the pace of the game. Sometimes I won't always have a rabbit. I won't always open rabbit. I won't always open Tour Guide. And if they get their big plays going, then it's a little tough for me to catch up. So Spirit Reaper is here for, the set play. If you attack into it, okay, this is not destroyed by battle. You can stall out a bit. You can draw into your outs. You can draw into your power cards, and that's what Spirit Reaper is all about. Like every single card in here is a normal summon. Right? You have Rabbit, normal summon. Vanilla's normal summon. Torguide, normal summon. Not Assailant would be the only set. Perhaps also Dark Resonator would be the set. 3 Jirac Wyva, normal summon cards. Like, I want to deviate away from the normal summon play sometimes, especially when I'm trying to control the pace of the game. Once again, this deck is a passive control deck. So that's what Spirit Reaper is here for. Spirit Reaper stalls me out for me to draw my outs, to draw into my power cards in order to make my own plays. It's also its discarding ability is also really good. It forces out warnings, it forces out dimensional prisons, it forces out even judgments sometimes, simply because people are so scared of its discarding ability that they have a card in their hand that they really need or something, and they don't want to just simply -1 for shits and giggles. So Dark Spirit Reaper is a great card overall, and I definitely would run no less than 2. 1, I would feel that I wouldn't draw it when I need it, so that's why I run it at 2. It's always basically there when I need it. So Spirit Reaper. And lastly, I have run 1 Grand Mole. Grand Mole is just a great card. He's a beast. He's won me games by himself. Big beat sticks is the biggest problem with this deck. You return their Machina Fortress to their hand or whatever. They have to ditch another card to special summon it. You run into their Zen mains, you run into their Stardust. Those are the cards that this deck has troubles with. Big beat sticks, etc. You return this to the hand, you return this to the extra deck, then suddenly they're not an issue anymore. Zen mains, the best feeling in the world is when I bounce a Zen mains back into the extra deck, or when I bounce a Stardust back into the extra deck. It's really, really fun. So yeah, I mean, this card is awesome. I also don't run Compulsory Evacuation Device, so this guy's also kind of it's a replacement for it in monster form. Once again, a normal summon card, another reason why I run Spirit Reapers. But yeah, this card's won me games by himself. They set a defensive monster and they're nearly dead. I just summon this, bounce it, and attack for game. So that's it for the monsters. I run 19 monsters, I believe. 2, 8, 12, 15, 18 monsters. I run 18 monsters. And now the spells. Spells, first of all, 3 lances. Forbidden Lance is just an amazing card. Just an amazing card. Its effect is you can select 1 face-up monster you're on the field until the end phase. It loses 800 attack, but is unaffected by the effects of other spells and traps. So, the Bottomless, the Deep Prison, all that stuff, that's you protecting these guys. That's what protecting these guys is about. You want to protect these guys so you can use their effects on your opponent's turn when you like to disrupt their plays to passively control them. If they Bottomless a Dolka, then your Dolka is gone, and there goes your card, right? If they Dark Hole, they rip a Dark Hole, and then they Dark Hole your Dolka, then they can do whatever the hell they want with their monster effects. Lance is there to protect these monsters. Lance is also there to help you run over stuff with Gwaiba. The 800 attack clause allows you to activate this card in a damage step. So you attack into their higher attack monster with Gwaiba, and then they're like, what the heck is this guy doing? And then you activate Forbidden Lance in the damage step, and then your Gwaiba runs over their monster, you get another Gwaiba from your deck, special summon it, and then you go. You have a free Dolka or Lagia. Because of this card. This card is great, and I would not run less than 3. Running 2, you would not get it when you need it, and it's really, really useful basically at any time in the game. So the late game top deck is also good. You can run over their monsters, etc. Their big beat sticks that are in your way, and early game as well, protecting your Guaibas or whatever you need to protect. It protects them, so it's good shit. Next we have 2 MST. 2 MST and not 3, simply because Mermail matchup, MST is not very good because of the sphere. It's basically all they run. MST, Forbidden Lance also kind of works as an MST simply because, they use up their back row, and then you just end up negating the effects of their back row with Forbidden Lance. So that's why I also run only 2 MST. 2 MST is really all I need, I think, and then in case of a heavy back row, decks or cards that, or foreseeable side deck cards used against you in terms of spells and traps, and you can side in the third one. But yeah, 2 MST is just really all you need, I think, for this deck. And then next we have the one-ofs. Heavy Storm, good card. Dark Hole, another good card. Monster Reborn, another good card. And Book of Moon. So yeah. Basically your one-ofs. Obviously these cards are great. Some of these cards are broken. And Book of Moon is there also just to help you run over stuff with Gwaiba. Get over big beat sticks. Monster Reborn is just Monster Reborn. Dark Hole is just Dark Hole, and Heavy Storm is just Heavy Storm. So For the traps, so this deck, once again, like I said, you want to protect these two guys out. Big beat sticks are your biggest problem in this deck. So what you want to do is run a big back row in order to be able to protect your monsters, protect your Logia, protect your Dolka, in order to be able to use their effects to the maximum and use up your opponent's resources, basically. So starting off, like I said, this is the March 2013 ban list. So one warning, one solemn judgment, because warning got put to 1, so that's all I can run right now. So one warning, one solemn judgment. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of mixed feelings about the warning to 1 thing. Sometimes they are dead. You draw into a dead warning, but it'd be nice to negate summons once in a while, especially with like Evil Swarms coming out. Ophion is pretty good card, and if I can warning that, then I will definitely do that in a heartbeat. But only now with warning to 1, then it's going to be tougher to be able to warning that because they do have like a Lance-like card that's archetype specific for Evil Swarms. So it's going to be tough getting rid of that, and it'd be nice to be able to have more warnings to be able to negate the summon. But yeah, one warning, one solemn judgment, because that's what it's going to be. 2 TT. Some players are argue about 1 TT versus 2 TT, especially in a deck like this. Some people say that you're going to have your Dolka, you're going to have your Logia out. You're not going to want to have a TT set because it becomes basically dead. You don't want a TT. You don't want to TT your Logia. You don't want to TT your Dolka. So so why run 2 TT? Why not just keep the 1 just in case? The thing about this deck though is that, especially since Tour Guide and Rabbit have gone to 2 from 3 from 2 formats ago, you're not always going to have the Dino out on the field. You're not always going to have the Logia. You're not always going to have the Dolka out on the field. And what TT does is simply just protects you from that. Over 6 Sam players, Mermail players, Devo plays, whatever. You just TT those, and the threat is gone. Especially when you don't have the play available to you. You're not always going to have the Rabbit play. You're not always going to have the Guaiba play. You're not always going to have the Tour Guide play. So that's what TT is there for. Now it is sometimes dead. When I do get something out, but at the end of the day, at the worst case scenario, it becomes MST fodder. It's gonna constantly be checking it, whatever, and they're gonna MST. I'm like, okay, that kind of dead TT was dead anyway. So I still think 2 is worth it. I still think 2. You definitely want to draw it when you need it. So it's not a bad top deck late game. So I mean, could be better, but yeah, I still think 2 TT is definitely worthwhile. So 2 of those cards. Next, I run 2 Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain is a great card. Basically, what Fiendish Chain does is my trap version of Effect Veiler. Because I do run Macrocosmos, Effect Veiler I can't be used in this deck. So Fiendish Chain, what this guy does is basically stops any effect monsters in their tracks. Any Tour Guides, whatever. Any little monsters that have effects, Divas, Tour Guides, whatever. Bam, Fiendish Chain. Next turn, summon Guaiba, run it over. And then you get your Logia or Dolka or whatever, right? Fiendish Chain is such a great card. It also stops them from attacking. So once again, big beat sticks. That's the problem with this deck. If a card is gonna run over your Dolka or whatever, and they manage to bring it out, like Machina Fortress, for example, its effects. You need to check that up. Can Dolka negate Machina Fortress? I'm not sure about that. If anybody knows, could you leave a comment in the description box below, in the comment box below? I'm actually not sure if Dolka can negate Machina Fortress. Huh, that's interesting. Because Machina Fortress doesn't activate. It doesn't start a chain, so I don't think you'd be able to. But I'm not quite sure. So yeah, Fiendish Chain basically stops their monsters in their tracks. Stops them from attacking. If a monster, big beat stick would be summoned, that with a Dolka or your Logia or whatever on the field, you want to be able to protect it. If they somehow got around your Logia or Dolka's place, you want to be able to protect it. So Fiendish Chain is there for that, and then eventually, it stalls them out in order to be able to draw into your outs, and then eventually you'll be able to get rid of their monsters. So yeah, Fiendish Chain is definitely a great card, and I definitely would run 2. I don't think I would run this deck without Fiendish Chain, to be honest. Next we have 2 Bottomless Shuffle. Bottomless Shuffle is just a staple. It's a great card. Banishes their 1500 attack or more monster that was normal summoned or special summoned. So yeah, what's not to love, especially with priority removed now, like I don't know, 2 formats ago or something. I don't know. I just came back from Yu-Gi-Oh! I quit for a year and a half to play Vanguard, as you guys obviously know. And now I'm back. So yeah, priority is gone. Like, it's been gone for a while now. But Bottomless Shuffle just gets better. So yeah, banishes and yeah, does everything nice. Next, 2-Dimensional Prison. Once again, it's a little bit slow, this format, I think. A lot of cards are able to destroy back row. Which is a little annoying, but Mermails, kind of annoying for them to do that. So Dimensional Prison is a little slow. I'm debating maybe taking one out and putting in a compulsory evacuation device, because Compulse is chainable, Dimensional Prison isn't. And but yeah, I mean, Dimensional Prison, I think it's still worth running, definitely. It simply does not destroy. That's the biggest thing. It just banishes. So any players that get greedy with Zen mains, because I mean, I've seen bad players, they just attack with the Zen mains, and they're like, oh, it's not a deep prison, and then that took care of that problem really, really easily. So yeah, two dimensional prisons, in order for the one for removal. Next to Macrocosmos. This card is the reason why this deck can do so well in the current meta. Mermails, a lot of current meta decks right now are graveyard dependent. You have Mermails, you have Windups, you have Dark Worlds, you have Chaos Dragons. All of these decks require the graveyard to some extent, in order for them to be good. You have, for example, YCS Barcelona finals where Jack Brune playing Dino Rabbit played Mermails in the finals. He flipped Macrocosmos and the guy couldn't do anything. He literally just couldn't do anything. He just kept setting cards because that's all he could do. Like set a card in defense mode, end. And it'd just be like a Genix Control or something because he can't do anything. You can't pay Undine's cost. You can't pay any cost, which means that you can't gain advantage in that deck. Basically, Mermails depend so much in sending cards to the graveyard for effects and then activating those cards' effects. In order to gain pluses, if you shut them down, they literally can't do anything. If you shut them down, they're just a little bunch of small monsters. You can't pay for Megalo's cost either, so it's just this one card itself shuts down the entire deck. Same thing for Dark Worlds. Chaos Dragons also graveyard dependent. Windups to a little bit of a less extent, but they're still, they can't do any rat plays or whatever. So they're still able to swarm the field, but a little less extent. So Macrocosmos is a great card, and that's the reason why this deck can do so well. Since there are so many meta decks that actually are so graveyard dependent, then this card can be main decked and should be main decked. In fact, a lot of other decks side deck it. That's how good this card is. And then lastly, the last card, the 40th card, is the Starlight Road, simply because I do run a lot of back row. I run like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 back row, including the Starlight Road, 14 if I decide to put in as compulsory evacuation device. So yeah, right now the deck is at 40 cards, and with that Starlight Road, that is the 40 cards. So that's the main deck. Now I'm going to go into the extra deck. I am missing one Dolkin, one Logia, so you're supposed to have 2 of each, but I only have 1 of each right now. So yeah, 2 Dolkin, 2 Logia would be what you should have. Next I have 2 Levier. Levier is just a great card. Obviously, Rabbit banishes itself upon the activation of its effect as a cost. So if you used it once and you have a tour guide, you can tour guide into this, detach, bring back Rabbit, banish Rabbit once again to get another 2 vanillas, and if you really want to, you can attack with them or overlay with them for another Dolka or Logia. So if my first Levier gets bottomless or warninged or whatever, I want that, since I have 2 targets for Tour Guide, I want to be able to use that card. Like, Tour Guide is a power card. It's a power play card. You want to be able to use that card to its fullest extent. That's why I think that not running 2 targets with Tour Guide is a little silly. It's a power card. You want to be able to use it to its full advantage. It's one of the best cards in the game right now. And if you're not using it to its full advantage, then that's just silly. So I think that's why running 2 targets is really worth, and that's why running 2 Levier just in case is also worth, just in case one gets bottomless or warning. So 2 Levier. Zenmane's great card. Whenever you want to get defensive, you want to stall out, you don't have the Spirit Reaper, you can always just Tour Guide into this and then set it and then just wait for it. A lot of decks have trouble getting over this card, simply because when it's destroyed, you can detach 1 instead and then destroy a card at the end phase. So it's really, really good. Some decks are scared of it, but also some decks are actually very good at getting rid of Zenmanes. And basically any deck that can pop out a rank 4, Black Ship of Corn is a great card. Black Ship of Corn just shits all over Zenmanes, so be careful depending on the deck you're playing against. If you're playing against gadgets, I highly recommend not making this card, simply because they're so easy with gadgets to make out a rank 4, bring out a Black Ship of Corn, and then they'll just kill your Zenmanes for free, and that's never fun. Next we have one Temtempo. Temtempo is the Percussion Djinn, and he's pretty good. He's a really, really good card. Allows you to kind of it just like gets rid of their Xyz materials on some of their monsters. Mostly Zenmanes is what it's used for. You detach 1 against 500, and then since you can use it on if its effect you can use on either player's turn, then Temtempo can just detach another one from your opponent's on your opponent's Zenmanes and on their turn, and then you have a 2700 beat stick, and that's like pretty monster. So yeah, Temtempo is a beast. This guy's a monster. He's a little monster, and yeah, definitely would run It's pretty staple extra deck card. One Leviathan Dragon, just the emergency $2,500 beat stick, not $2,500, $2,500 attack power beat stick. He's pretty emergency. I rarely make him. I usually go for the Levier Zen Maid. So yeah, he's just there just in case I need him for like 2,500 per game or something. Gaga Cowboy. This guy's like, holy shit, this card's so good. It's a rank 4. So this card, it basically becomes a 3k beat stick. If it's in attack position, you attach 1. Whenever you attack your opponent's monster, that monster loses 500 attack, and this card gains 1,000 attack. So essentially, when you do the math, this card becomes 3,000 power when it attacks. So let's say they have the Gores out. You make this, you attack. They take 300 in damage, and yeah, you just got over their Gores for no, like, just with this deck, this card. So it's really, really good. It really helps out in getting rid of your opponent's big beat sticks, which once again is one of this deck's weakness, and also its ability to, in defense position, detach a card, and your opponent loses 800 points of damage. Has won me games. Like, I've just gone like, okay, what are your life points at? Oh, 700. Okay, I'm just gonna make rank 4 and detach per game, and then yeah. So Gaga Cowboy is a great card. And next we have one Mace Stroke. Mace Stroke is great. It's a Book of Moon effect, which is really useful to, once again, get over big beat sticks, and you know, it allows you to stall a bit as well with its Zen Main's like ability of being able to negate its destroying by detaching 1 Xyz material. So Mace Stroke is great. One Photon Papillon Operative. I think I've made this card like once, but it's still worth running, I think. It can be really useful, especially against an opponent that's stalling. So you really want to get over their cards or whatever. So this card just puts them into attack mode, makes them lose 600 attack, and you just ran them possibly for game. So it's a great card. Next we have Black Ship of Corn, of course. Allows you to get around over their Zen Mains really easily in basically a turn, and yeah, that's really, you just destroy cards that are annoying. Mostly Zen Mains, that's really what I can think of. Perhaps Spirit Reaper, but if you just lance it, then it gets destroyed. One Utopia, I think I made this card like once as well. Just 2,500 beat stick, emergency kind of staller. Shockmaster, I've made this card a few times. Basically, when you make this card, you've already won, so you just kind of guarantee your win by restricting your opponent in what they can play. So, and then lastly, the Stardust Dragon, because I do run Starlight Road. And now for the side deck, 2 Max C's. Max C's basically for the wind up matchup, and other decks that perhaps special summon that aren't really graveyard dependent. So, but there's really little of those. But I did want to have some form of hand traps in my side deck. I thought Effect Veiler was kind of just didn't do much a lot in the meta. You can Veiler their Stratos, you can Veiler their Tour Guide, but Veiler their Diva, but that's what Phoenix Chain does as well. So I thought it'd be a little redundant to have Phoenix Chains and Effect Veilers. So I thought Maxis would be a little better in the side deck. Next we have one Gores. Gores is just there for the matchups that I take out Macrocosmos, and then I can just put in Gores. That's basically it. 2 Snowman Eaters. Snowman Eaters are here for the HerO matchup, against their alias, their Thunder Kings. You can get rid of them with Snowman Eater. It's also there for the mirror matchup. The Lagias, the Lagia attacks a face down Snowman Eater, and then suddenly their Lagia is dead. So it's a good card and definitely good in the side deck. Next I have 2 Thunder Kings. Thunder Kings are just simply there for the Mermail matchup, the Wind Up matchup, the HerO matchup, the what other deck searches? Prophecy matchup, and yeah, a lot of matchups that search. The Gadget matchup, like you summon Thunder King first turn against Gadgets, and then they just cry because they can't search. So they, it's pretty funny. I did that against my friend one time, and he was just like, "Well, you just won the game," because he couldn't get rid of my Thunder King. Like his only outs were like I don't know, traps or something, like Deep Prison or a Dark Hole, and he didn't draw into either. So I just ended up beating him down for 1900. So yeah, Thunder King's a great card and definitely a great side deck card. I already explained why Thunder King's good when comparing him to a Drek Waiba. Third MST. MST is just there for extra back row removal. 2 Soul Taker. Once again, like I said before, this deck really suffers from big beat sticks. So Soul Taker gets rid of their Shinings against heroes. It gets rid of Light Pulsar as well. Light Pulsar Dragon misses the timing as well. And just in general for getting rid of big beat sticks that are hard to get rid of. Their Machina Fortress as well. Soul Taker doesn't proc either of Machina Fortress's effects. It's not a monster effect, and it's not Strike by Battle, so Soul Taker is just a great card overall. I actually have two Noblemen of Crossout. Noblemen of Crossout are here for kind of like the Light Sworn, I guess, and also the Girga matchup. Their Girga armors, they're just looking ridiculous plus machines, and you really can't really get over them with this deck. Sabersaurus just, it doesn't kill it. Cabazol can't kill it. It's 1900 defense, unless the only way to kill it is if you got something out, and Girgas have a decent amount of back row. So chances of you being able to get a big beat stick, in the form of a Loggear Dolka, because that's really what you're going to go for, it's not really worthwhile, and then you're just going to end up like running into something dumb and in their back row, and then you're going to cry. So Nobleman of Crosshair just is the easy 1-for-1 removal against them, and same thing for Raikos, Light Sorn, any like Chaos Dragons matchup once again, get rid of their Raiko, and then just no more Raikos for the rest of the game. So that's good. Third, Macrocosmos against the graveyard, the most graveyard dependent of decks. Dark Worlds, Chaos Dragons, and Mermails. Definitely slide that in. And then we have two Dust Tornado. Dust Tornado once again, just more back row removal, and it's pretty good. Dust Tornado is a good card. And yeah, that's it. I've gone through the whole deck. Side deck, extra deck, and main deck. So yeah, that's the deck profile, guys. If you guys want to see more, let me know what you thought about this one. Give me some feedback. For those players that are new to the game, new to Yu-Gi-Oh, would you like me to explain things better? Would you like me to just make a whole introduction to Yu-Gi-Oh video so you guys understand it better? Just let me guys know what you think about this. This is my first video for the Yu-Gi-Oh section of this channel. So thank you guys for watching. This is HerO from DifferenceInSkill, and I'll see you next time.